Greetings everyone, I am Raphael Cutler and welcome to Aim to Thrive, Wellbeing Education for the Construction Industry, where we learn life skills to move from a surviving to thriving mindset. As the old saying goes, you are what you eat. Food brings work colleagues, friends, families, and whole communities together. We continuously hear how eating a well-balanced diet can greatly enhance our well-being, and today it is my pleasure to introduce Katrina Horton, the Director of Social Cooking. Greetings, Katrina.
Hi.
Welcome to Aim to Thrive.
Hi, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Katrina, tell us a bit about yourself and your work as a cooking school owner, foodie, and passionate nutritionist.
Right, well, so I have been cooking since I was little. I was taught by my grandmother, as we often are. She used to let us go shopping in her kitchen with a little basket, which was really cute. And then eventually, as I got a bit older, I was just really interested in food and how food, I guess, brought people together. I didn't think of it like that at the time, of course. So, but you know, I was cooking dinner parties for my friends when I was 16. I was that kid. I was like, oh, let's set the table and, you know, bring everyone around the table together. Right. And then as I kind of went along, I guess my journey diverged a bit. I really seriously considered becoming a chef, and but didn't like the hours and frankly didn't really like the money. So I ended up going and working in advertising for a number of years. And during that time, it's not a great environment for health, for good health. I found that my diet was just not great. There was a lot of eating on the fly, a lot of going out for big lunches, drinking too much, but working really, really hard, really long hours, high stress levels. And that was impacting my health. You know, I mean, sure. I was skinny, but not in a good way. And sure. I was aging quickly. And there was nothing good going on. My energy levels were terrible. I was short with my husband, short with my kids. And eventually I decided that I needed to get out of that industry. Yes. The opportunity came up for us to buy Social Cooking, and I've just, you know, it is an amazing business for bringing people together again over food, getting teams to work together, getting that kind of engagement and excitement about creating something and then sitting down and eating together, that positive experience. Right. Since then, you know, I've been thinking about my own health and about what I can do to improve it. And so I started studying nutrition as a way to improve my own and my family's health. Yes. And now I'm looking at how I can bring that into our business and start sharing that, you know, with people like yourself.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Katrina, demanding family life and work schedules can take a massive toll on depleting energy levels, leading to exhaustion and, for many, ongoing fatigue. In your opinion, what can workers do, or what could they include in their diet to re-energize, to improve their concentration at work without resulting to drinking sugary drinks and foods high in fat, sugar, and calories?
I mean, look, this is a really big question. It's a massive challenge, and a lot of that is about managing blood sugar. Sure. So basically what happens is that, you know, we'll have breakfast, but, you know, so often breakfast isn't on the fly thing. So it's sugary cereals, or it's a muesli bar, or, as you say, a sugary drink. You know, even if it's a coffee, it's a massive coffee with lots of milk and lots of sugar added to it. And so what happens is our body extracts the sugar very quickly. That goes out of our small intestine, which means it goes straight into our blood sugar. And it means that we get an insulin spike. So our body gets a message that says we don't need to release any more energy into our cells because there's enough there, right? So, but then what happens is we suddenly run out. And when we run out, we get a big crash. And that's when our energy levels slump hugely. And it's quite hard to come out of that crash. So the key is to manage our energy throughout the day. And that is eating slow release foods, slow release energy foods. So lots of grains, lots of oats, whole foods, plant-based foods, things that aren't too processed and not too high in sugar. Okay, so it's having if you need to have caffeine, having a coffee and a banana instead of something with lots of sugar, having an energy drink, going for those sort of simple things. Or if you're having a muesli bar, just checking what it is, maybe going to a local cafe and trying to buy one that's been made from scratch, where you can see all the ingredients there, rather than one that's off the shelf and is full of preservatives, extra sugars, because there's a lot of hidden sugars in those things,
Sure.
and, emulsifiers, those sorts of things. But, the fruit, vegetables, nuts and seeds, they're all slow release energy. And that's the secret. More whole grains, going for brown rice and whole grain breads versus white bread, white rice. And then, I generally feel that I don't like to talk about elimination when it comes to diet. I think that diet should be about adding, right? So it's about eating more of the good stuff rather than eliminating. But if you must eliminate, then sugar is probably the biggest one. And where I talk about sugar, it's not really sugar that's in fruit, because if you're eating sugar, if you're eating whole foods, like a whole banana or a whole orange, there's fiber in that. And fiber is really good for you, and that helps your body take up that sugar slowly. Whereas if you're talking about something that's a processed snack, your body will take up that sugar very, very quickly, and that's where you get that energy slump. So that's probably the things that I would think about in terms of managing energy during the day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure thing. That's tremendous. Katrina, people often talk about how breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Is this true? And what does a good breakfast look like for you? What does a good breakfast look like for a construction worker, someone that has a very physically demanding role and has a lot of demanding physical activities throughout their day? What would you recommend that they should consider for their breakfast?
Yeah. So I think the first thing there is breakfast the most important meal of the day? So that's actually debatable. That was a marketing strategy created by Kellogg's.
Oh, okay. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So that's become the vernacular, but actually there is no real evidence to suggest that breakfast is any more important than any other meal. And in actual fact, intermittent fasting has equal, if not greater, health benefits than eating first thing in the morning. So I myself, I do intermittent fasting, which means I don't eat from dinner through to, I do have breakfast, but generally I have breakfast at sort of 10 or 11. I try and go for sort of 14 hours, 15 hours of fasting every day. Sometimes it's less, Yes. I don't like to put too much of a finite structure around that, but it is important to give your gut and your digestive system an opportunity to heal overnight and to restore. Basically, how your stomach gurgles, you get that sound of that's actually your intestine cleaning itself. So that's the sound of effectively the vacuum cleaner, for want of a better term, going through and just cleaning everything out. And when it's done that, then it's ready to receive food again. And we live in this world where we've been told that you must snack throughout the day. We don't actually give our digestive tract an opportunity to reset, and it needs to be able to do that. You just keep putting food in, you never go through the whole process. You're always digesting. And it's sort of like, I guess it's like doing leg day every day at the gym, right? You've got to give your legs a break. And it's the same thing. So think of it like going to the gym and having a 24, 48-hour break between gym sessions so you can recover. This is the same thing. Now, when we talk about fasting, people think about, the 5-2 diet or, massive days, massive tracts of time, they don't eat. It doesn't have to be like that. It can just be 8 hours. It can just be 12 hours. It could just be that you don't eat between 8 and 8. Finish dinner, don't eat till 8 o'clock the next morning, or 7 and 7, or whatever it is that suits you. But it's down to the individual. You've got to listen to your own body. There are no rules when it comes to digestion and nutrition. Okay, so the rules are you need to work out what works for you. And if you can fast every day for 14, 15 hours, great. But if you're someone who goes, you know what, I'm actually starving in the morning, then you know that you need to eat in the morning when you get up, okay? In terms of the type of food that you would eat, again, it's slow release energy foods.
Sure.
So protein is great, eggs are fantastic, but you know,
Yeah.
go for white toast. Instead of going for white toast, go for whole grain toast, something with lots of seeds, lots of nuts. Even a Molenberg, you know, just a standard, but go for the brown bread, whole grain, if you can, something that gives you slow release.
Sure.
Add some vegetables into it. Have some avocado in there. That's some good healthy fats. Maybe some tomatoes. It's a good source of lycopene, which is a fantastic antioxidant. And your spinach, that sort of thing. Extra fiber. I've also taken to toasting lots of seeds and just keeping them in a jar. You can actually buy them from the supermarket pre-toasted and just sprinkling them over the top of breakfast, which just gives a little bit of extra nutrients, a little bit of extra fiber in there.
Great.
But you know, cereal and fruit is not bad if you choose a muesli and just check the sugar content, because anything off the shelf, the sugar is diabolical, and that's what you want to stay away from. So you know, eggs, breads, vegetables, fruit, ferments. Good time to have some yogurt, especially if it's live. So we're not talking you know, high fruit, high sugar. I'm talking natural, high levels of acidophilus yogurts, which are really good for your gut health and keep your gut microbiome and those bacteria that keep us healthy. That's what that just keeps those fed.
Fantastic.
So, yeah. Sorry, long answer.
Great. Oh, there's lots of great advice there, Katrina. Thank you. And
you're welcome.
Katrina, research shows that healthy eating leads to good physical health. In your opinion, what are the positive flow-on effects for mental health? And is there a relationship between mental health and food?
The short answer there is yes, there definitely is.
Right.
I was always of the opinion that mental health was largely, or poor mental health was largely hereditary. You know, I sort of always thought that if your father suffered from depression, that you'd be more likely to suffer from depression. Now, to a degree, that's true, but it's only about 20%. It's nowhere near as much as I ever thought it was. And in fact, 80% of mental health or poor mental health is environmental factors. So workplace pressures, poor diet, you know, what your home life is like, all of those kind of things. Fitness, you know, how much do you exercise? How much are you getting out and doing things? Whether you're taking steps to address relaxation, whether you're getting enough sleep at night, all of those things all play a part in your mental health. And diet does play its own role. Now, the reason for that, and I talked briefly just now about the gut microbiome. So this is science that is growing every day. So we know that our most of the vegetables that we eat and fruits, plant-based products, are digested in our colon. And they're actually, our bodies can't digest it themselves. So it's digested by the colony of bacteria that lives in our gut. And that gut, our gut has, there's a nerve that runs straight to our brain, and it's called the vagus nerve. This is unique in our bodies because there is no other vein. Usually those nerves run throughout other areas, you know, so they kind of go through our spinal column and up to our brain, through our arm, and, you know, all over the show. This one is a straight line from our gut to our brain. It's called the gut-brain axis. Yes. And it means that there are messages going from our brain to our gut and from our gut to our brain all the time. And that is why when you feel anxious or nervous, it often plays out in your gut, right? So you often end up either feeling sick, or people talk about stress eating, you know, that's that. Or they end up having diarrhea because they're feeling, you know, because their stomach gets butterflies. So you think about all of those sayings that we have, like butterflies in your stomach and it's a gut feeling. That's true because that's that nerve at play. And basically, So whatever is going on in the gut is going to affect the brain. Okay, so if we're eating badly and our gut's not happy, that's going to happen in our brain. We're going to feel that, but vice versa as well. So if our brain's not happy, that's playing out in our guts. It's going to affect our digestion. It's going to affect our body's ability to take up nutrients and our body's ability to process food efficiently, give us the energy that we need to thrive, which then flows on to our mental health, right? So it's that cycle, just constantly feeling bad, bad digestion, no energy, feeling worse, and so it goes on and on and on. What is important to know is that something like 70% of the serotonin our body produces, and serotonin is the happiness hormone, so it's the thing that makes us feel good. 70% of that is produced in our gut. It's not produced in our brain. So you have to look after your gut. You're not going to feel happy unless your gut's happy. So that means you eat well. The better you eat, the better you'll be.
Fantastic. That's tremendous information there, Katrina. Katrina, we often hear how alcohol and comfort foods high in sugar, carbohydrates, and salt, they're okay in moderation. Talk us through your thoughts on what moderation looks like for you.
Look, I believe in everything in moderation. I really am a believer in everything in moderation, including moderation. I mean, you know, we all have our days, right?
Yeah, sure.
We all have our days.
Yeah, moderation and moderation, that's good.
I'd love to tell you that I have my halo on and I never fall off the wagon and, you know, hardly ever drink. None of that is true. We all have our times where we get to a party and get a little overexcited and drink a bit more than we should and wake up the next day regretting it enormously. And I think that every so often makes us human, right?
Of course,
I was just reading a fantastic book. It's called Eat More, Live Well, which I highly recommend, by Dr. Megan Rossi, who's the gut health doctor. And she was talking about how, you know, how the irony of eating well can often be its own stressor. You know, we spend so much time worrying about whether we're eating well and worrying about whether we're doing the right things. And we've actually got to cut ourselves some slack, right? So we do our best. You do your best. Small changes, but every so often, you know, sometimes you've got to eat a Big Mac because that's all there is. You know, like you're driving, doing a road trip, and you end up in Oklahoma, and the only thing that's open is McDonald's, and you just have to go because what do you do? So those are the times where you just have to go, well, look, it's not great, but it is what it is. And as long as you're not doing it every day, as long as it's not every lunch, then it's not so bad. Look, my tips are, when you find yourself in that situation, try and choose better options. So have a look at the menu. Instead of just reaching for the thing that is bread and meat and cheese, go, okay, I'm going to have a burger, but I'm going to go for the one that's got the most vegetables in it. So I'll go for, yes, there's the meat, but actually I know that's got lettuce and gherkins and tomatoes and onion in it. Those are all good for me, so I'll have that. Okay, so that's the first thing. You know, if you're getting takeaways on a Friday night because you're tired, you know, sometimes going for ethnic options, Indian, Chinese, you know, Vietnamese, lots of vegetables in those options, and often made by hand, which is a big plus, so less preservatives in it. If you're, you know, second tip is add some veg. So if you're buying a burger, take it home, stick some extra veggies into it. You know, like just open it up and put some extra tomato and put some extra avocado and put some extra stuff into it that's just going to bulk it up with some of those good nutrients. And then, you know, potentially get a side. Like, so if you're buying a burger, then go, okay, well, I'll get a side of coleslaw, or I'll get a side salad, or I'll get some steamed veggies, or whatever it is that's on the menu at that place. In terms of alcohol, it's not great for our gut health. It does deplete our gut microbiome. So, you know, if you are going to drink, and you know, look, I'll be frank with you, I have a glass of wine most days, but as I get older, it's less and less than it used to be. I try for 1 to 2 alcohol-free days a week. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's two. I mix my wine now. I have red wine because red wine is high in polyphenols. So that's good for my gut health, and that at least makes me feel like I'm doing something that's healthy for myself. But I've actually taken to having 50-50 wine and soda, which I know that Puritans will be horrified by. But it kind of makes me feel like I'm having a drink, but it's quite watered down, and it means I stop at one. Right?
Yeah, great.
For beer drinkers, craft beer is the way to go. So the more that you can go, but they're a bit more expensive, so that might stop you from drinking a bit too much as well. But a craft beer is full of microbes because it's naturally fermented. Right. So it actually conversely can be quite good for you.
Sure.
Or what I used to do when I was pregnant, which is still a good tip, is make yourself a mocktail, like make something that doesn't have alcohol in it at all. There's a lot of fantastic non-alcoholic spirits on the market. You can go through that process of feeling like you're making a drink at night and have no alcohol at all.
Yeah.
So that's a few of the things that I think we can do that just kind of.
Oh, tremendous. Yeah, some really good ideas. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Katrina, to finish up, my last question. Many workers in construction have a survival mindset. They're aiming just to get to the end of the day, just to get to the end of the week. How can these individuals shift this mindset to a thriving mindset? And how would food, what sort of role does food have to play in a thriving mindset?
So look, a thriving mindset makes you open to new ideas, makes you open to new experiences. It gives you the energy to set and achieve goals. So it's pretty important, right? If you actually want to move ahead with your life, lead a fulfilling life where you are achieving your ambitions, then you need to have that kind of mindset. But if you're exhausted all the time, that's just not going to happen, right? You're just going from day to day, putting one foot in front of the other. And that is where a surviving mindset comes in. You're just doing what it takes to get by, which is, it's pretty bleak, right? That's not great. And that's going to give you, that's going to play out in the way that you eat. It means that you're basically eating to live, and you take very little pleasure in food. And it's the literal food is fuel thing. Whereas I believe that you are what you eat. So therefore, if you can change the way you eat, it's going to give you the energy that you need to be able to achieve those goals that you have. Can't do it without energy, right? And on top of that, we've talked about, the mental health thing and about nutrition's role in mental health. So you've got that energy, which you need to achieve your goals. Then you're producing the serotonin. That's giving you the happiness drug that tells you that you're doing the right thing, makes you feel good about yourself, keeps you feeling positive, keeps you being driven to achieve. So all of those things are really important. On top of that, I think there's a few other things about eating well that are important. Eating with other people. I touched on that right at the beginning, but eating in a community, it can be as simple, in the workplace environment that you're talking about on building sites and so on, taking a little bit of time out in the middle of the day. And I know it's hard because people are under pressure and they've got deadlines to meet, but taking just half an hour to sit down with your workmates and eat together, and not necessarily eating the same thing, but just sitting down, relaxing, switching off that work part of your mind and switching on that social part, that interactivity. And there's a lot of research to support the positive aspects of eating communally and how good that is for your digestion, how good that is for your physical and mental health. And it's an easy win, right? Because who doesn't want to just sit down and have a chat with their workmates? It's a nice thing to do. And yet we treat it as a special occasion, not as something that we should be doing every day, So look, I think those are the big things for me. I think that, healthy eating will help that thriving mindset for sure. Yeah,
great. Katrina, thank you so much for your time today. And
you're welcome.
I look forward to keeping in touch, and we'll do another interview again one day soon.
Sounds good. Thanks, Rafael.